Anyway, I'm starting to ramble about stuff that doesn't even matter. Let me start over. Project ER is something I have sunk hours upon hours upon hours upon hours into. And I am now officially, fully onto draft 3. So, I wanted to talk about draft 2 and then talk about draft 3. This is confusing because these don't match up with my hands. Draft 2. I spent all of 2024 and the beginning part of 2025 finishing up my draft 2. Well, I wrote it all last year, and then I took a month break, and then I commented over all of draft 3, which is why it ate into 2025. And I knew it would be different from draft 1, but until I was reading draft 2, I didn't realize how much different. And it was really interesting. And I think I see it more now that I'm also working on draft 3, because each draft builds on the last in kind of the same ways, kind of different ways. Your standard goes up, I guess, is the big difference, and what you need it to be changes based on what you've written and what you liked and what you didn't like. I was really surprised when I was reading draft 2 to figure out that the first third, which I thought was honestly not the weakest, I think the middle is always the weakest part, but it was really strong in terms of needing to turn it into an individual book. Because circling back a little bit, for those who don't know, Project ER is a trilogy, but when I first came up with it, I didn't think it was a trilogy. And even working on draft 2 last year, I was not convinced when I started that it was going to turn into a trilogy. I didn't officially think of it as a trilogy until I think about halfway through part 2. So that was something interesting about draft 2, that it was just like in the middle, unplanned, which I feel like the best decisions are always unplanned. You just kind of have to take them. It's just been interesting because like I do a lot of writing at work, so I don't have like the commented draft with me at work usually. But like there's so much here. I don't think there's a single page I didn't write on. I got sticky notes all over this thing. I've got different pen colors. I've got highlighters. I've got like a sticky note at the beginning that's like, imagine having to sell this first chapter. Would this make you read the rest of the book? I don't think so. And things like that, where it's just like, now I'm having to sit there and think about, is this workable? If someone pulls this off the hypothetical shelf or literal shelf, are they going to want to read it? And it's been very interesting. It's kind of crazy. So it's just kind of sometimes it just hits me that like this is what I have written is, it does exist in the world, just not for sale yet, and it's weird. Anyway, I'm gonna talk in circles here because this is really just me rambling, but when I was commenting through part 3, I realized that so much of what this is has to change, and not in a bad way, just in a like, I have to also be thinking about 4 through 6, right? Because little old me can't just leave it at 3. 4 through 6 has to come after this, and I'm like, this isn't setting up well. Because now that I've written 4, now it's given me a whole different perspective for this draft. This draft is going... It's faster and slower. Like, I am writing quickly, but at the same time, slowly. Like, I'm writing more hours, so I'm able to, like, do a faster pace, but my actual rate is pretty slow. Because I'm actually thinking about, sorry, there's dust everywhere, ugh. I'm having to think about, like, this is the final full rewrite. How do I make this pretty? How do I make this so that it makes sense? How do I tie in chapter 1 with chapter 8, with chapter 12, with chapter whatever? And then a third of the way through, I realized I could do with a prologue. That would be cool. And I'm now listening to the audiobook of Iron Widow. And I listened through the content. What did she call it? It wasn't content warning and it wasn't trigger warning. The way that the author worded it was good and I really liked it, and I'm like, should I include that kind of page? And it's becoming a lot more logistical. Like, writing no matter the level is a craft, right? Like, it's a skill, but I feel like the further you go, the more you actually tap into that aspect that makes it a skill rather than just writing whatever comes to mind, which takes skill in and of itself, of course. Like, I'm not trying to, hopefully I don't need to specify that I'm not trying to shit on first drafts. You need first drafts. You need those moments where you're like, this isn't gonna see the light of day ever again, blah, 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 and like, you do that for like 15 minutes. But I realize that the more I get into the draft, the more it becomes like, this is what honing your craft amounts to. Especially since I'm looking at self-publishing, most likely. This is how I have to drill down as much as possible. I have to figure out what I want. I have to go for what I want. I have to make sure this is the most beautimous thing I can write at my current skill set. It's intense, but I am really liking it, and I'm enjoying like going through and making pretty, like, I made little for now they might not they are probably stand-in, just little emoticon combinations for like chapter headings, or like not chapter headings, what are the decorative things in a chapter? The little pictures before the chapter? That thing. Chapter decorational accents. I'm thinking of those. I'm thinking of, like, there's a moment where Eris, the main character, is looking at a road sign, and I'm like, I can draw the road sign. It's combining my talents in a way I like, and getting into the logistics of it is fun. And now I feel like is where my alpha readers' comments have the most hold and the most weight and the most, like, OMG. Anne Foster, my alpha reader, she has read every draft thus far. She read the first draft twice. She is reading through draft 3 as I write draft 3, and I'm finally, like, the first drafts are like, these are good comments, but it's also like, I am entirely rewriting this. So unless it's plot related, it kind of gets lost in the the transfer between documents. And as I grow my skill, because my skill level from draft 1, chapter 1, is not the same as it is now. Because of course not. But now, like, I can fully utilize these comments. I can fully, like, this is getting into the nitty-gritty where I am finally making final decisions. There was one part at the end of the draft where I was like, this bleeds into the rest of the trilogy and the rest of the series. I need to know if I'm sticking to this. And I was finally able to just be like, final decision. Unless I absolutely hate it in this final rewrite, and then I can obviously just write the last couple chapters over. But like, final decision, we're doing it this way. And we move on. And I don't know, something about the weight of it is way more I won't say fun, but it really is honing of a craft. That's really fun. Anyway, I know I haven't talked much about Project ER on the actual YouTube channel. I had a writing VOD thing that I made a while ago, and then I just totally I don't think I actually talked about what ER is. I will be sharing more about it as I get closer to like an actual final draft, because this is scary to say. I'm wanting this out to the public on the hypothetical digital, maybe even some real shelves, early 2026. That gives me I don't know, 8 months to figure this out. I'm only doing book 1, which is helpful, because if I had to look at book 2 and 3 right now, I think I would explode. I am going to be sharing more here. I'm going to be sharing more on Instagram eventually. I gave up social media for Lent, so I haven't been looking at Instagram. But I will be posting on Instagram again after Easter. There will be more content about ER. More content in general also. Mini thing to get the interest flowing. LGBT romantasy, adult romantasy, but not spice. No spice, LGBT adult romantasy with some horror elements. I want it to be a horror romantasy, but I've been talking with Anne, and she made a good point that if I have to force it, it's probably not worth it. And it's not what the story needs. So LGBT adult no spice romantasy with some horror elements. Because Anne is right. It's not really like horror. Anyway, two boys, very gay. One of them. Other one's unsure. I think you know where it's going. That's my sales pitch. I hope you like it. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in more Project ER info, if you have questions, if you have comments, if you have qualms, queries, quibbles, let me know. Thank you. I will see you in another video, on a stream, on social media. Maybe not in person though. That'd be a bit weird. Don't meet me in my dreams either. I won't even remember you, so that's just not worth your time. Check out other stuff. I have some gaming videos, if you're into gaming videos. Good video.